So welcome to Honest Questions and Honest Answers. I have Russell Cowan. Is it Cowan?
That's right.
Yeah,
You
Cowan.
got it.
So he is the pastor of Redeemer Church in Hobbs. We've hung out a bunch before. Love talking about theology. So the basis of the videos that are coming, this video and the videos that are coming, is a sermon series I'm doing here at First Baptist Hobbs, which is based off of questions that church members wrote down on an index card and put in a bucket. And the questions were kind of all over the place. Like the joke was that somebody wrote down aliens ? Right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do that. That's not going to be one of my sermons. So this last Sunday, I preached on the idea of why did God create the world and why did he create us? And so my goal is to record some podcasts with some friends that relate to the questions that I'm dealing with, just to get different perspectives and different thoughts and a different voice. So that's the question I am posing to Russell, is why did God create the world or the universe, and why did he create us? So my first question was, and I prepped Russell with all these questions. So the first question is, did God create the world because he was lonely?
All right. Well, thanks for having me, Matt. I'm
Yeah.
honored that you invited me to be on this podcast with you. I've only done 2. This is only my second podcast ever in my life. So the first one was a lot less theological. So I'm excited to be on a theology podcast. So did God create the world because he was lonely? And my response is absolutely that God did not create the world.
Okay. You said absolutely and you paused. I'm like, come on, dude. Like,
yeah, I know. I was trying to build up the anticipation.
So make me just stop the video and then start over again. So.
God did not create the world because he was lonely. God is eternal. He is infinite. He is unchangeable in all of his character, in all of his ways. God is also self-sufficient. That means that he does not rely on anyone for anything. God does not have any needs that need to be met. God is not lacking or insufficient or deficient in any area, which would include relational needs. God does not have relational needs that have to be met. If God needed anything, if God lacked anything, if he was deficient of anything, then he would not be God.
Yeah.
And so if I can, let me just share one passage of Scripture that I think teaches this idea. This is from Acts chapter 17. This is the Apostle Paul. He is in Athens, Greece. He's staying in front of a group of godless, pagan, but very religious Greek philosophers.
So a bunch of Roman gods, a bunch of Greek gods.
Right. They believe in a bunch of Roman Greek gods. And Paul's in front of this group of men who just sit around and think about theology or their theology all day. So this is what Paul says to them. He says in Acts 17, "The God who made the world and everything in it, being Lord of heaven and earth, does not live in temples made by man, nor is he served by human hands, as though he needed anything, since he himself gives to all mankind life and breath and everything." And so what Paul does there is he says, the God who made the universe, he is not served by human hands. He doesn't need anything. So God doesn't need anything. He doesn't need anyone, including companionship, because he is lonely. God does not need that. But I think, Matt, and I think this is true of us, and you and me together at least, because I know we share similar ideas, it's important for us to note, I think, that because we're Trinitarian Christians, because we believe
that's where I was gonna go with
in
you.
the doctrine of the Trinity, we believe that even before God created the universe, before the universe existed, before Genesis 1:1, that God was eternally happy in the eternal fellowship of the Trinity. Before the universe existed, God existed in 3 persons as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And so in that relationship, God was eternally sufficient and happy and fulfilled and complete, and he wasn't lacking anything. So,
and I think that's one of the things I brought up in the sermon Sunday was this idea here that the Trinity does really matter to answer this question, because in a system like Islam, right, where God is one person, one essence, there's no other persons in the Trinity. The Trinity is a farce to them, right? That there is no ability for that kind of God to express anything and interact with anybody else or any other person in any other way. In that, so like even if God was self-sufficient, he in a sense was lonely in that system, right? And so I think that's the big idea here. I didn't go into this part in the sermon, but the idea that when mentions that God has no need, it is Paul is referring to Father, Son, and Spirit.
Yeah.
We want to default into, because our Trinitarian thoughts are so mixed up so often, we want to read God and think God the Father alone.
Yeah.
Too often. This is Baptist churches I've been in for over 20 years. I've heard this kind of thinking that, well, when it talks about God, it really means the Father. But the idea is that Father, Son, and Spirit, all three persons of the Trinity, have no need outside of the Trinity.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
So where else would you go with this?
With the question, did God
Yeah,
create
yeah.
the universe
His
because he
need
was lonely?
outside of the Trinity would be a big part of the answer,
Sure,
and then God's attributes, obviously, would be his essence or his attributes would be a big part of the answer, because he has no need outside of himself, and he is powerful in such a way that no human can. The language of Acts 17 is like serve him, right?
Right. Right. Yeah, he doesn't need anything from anyone, right? And I think the idea, and this could come in, at the end practically that we talk about later, is what does that mean for us in everyday life? Is anything that we are given the privilege to do for God, it is a gift to him. It is gratitude to him. It is not serving needs that he has because he's lacking, but it is a gift of worship to him. Whatever we do for God, whether it's reading our Bible, praying, studying, sharing the gospel, working hard in our jobs, being a good father, a good husband, a good mother, any of that, it's all acts of worship to God. It is not giving something to God because he's lacking anything.
So we don't add or subtract to him. Yeah. And I think this is one of the issues. So a part of the little handout I gave to the congregation was these 4 pieces. 3 of them were like and again, don't want to go too far into this, but an ancient Near East Babylonian creation account called the Enuma Elish, which was where like the world was created because one god destroyed another god and then used the pieces of that god, like the liver and the lungs, to create the world.
All right.
And then the other example I used was there's these things called the Nag Hammadi texts, which are Gnostics. Okay. And so that what they'll do is that this is after Jesus, after the apostles, typically dated around 100s, 200s, 300s, and they would use all of this Christian language, and they would use the word Yahweh and they would use the word Jesus. But basically, what happened was the same thing, that our world was created when 2 gods opposed each other and went to war, and it somehow produced creation. And so there's these gods, they're all worshiping that are needy, have weaknesses, have a longing and a desire and a want to be served. Yeah. Right? And I think that's the distinction of the biblical account, is that the way the Old Testament and New Testament portray God is not like anything else in the culture surrounding him. This idea that God would be needy and, you need to make this sacrifice because this God's angry at you, so make this sacrifice. But here's the issue: you need to make this sacrifice because they have needs that need to be met. They have fluctuating emotions. They're changing. And I think this is really important to get from the start, and this is why I asked this question. How many times have you heard, well, God created the world because he was lonely? Yeah. How many times? And I think that while that's not the same kind of question as like, how does God want you to spend your money, right? It's not that same kind of like pragmatic, practical, like here's 7 steps to change your life kind of question. I do see, if you believe that, if you start out with the foundation, God is lonely, so therefore he needs us, your view of God and your view of the Christian life, it's going to be radically distorted. Yeah. And like you said, you're going to have this idea that you can somehow add to God. Oh, he's doing this because he needs me to make him feel better about himself. Yeah. And the idea that you said that God is sufficient in himself, uncreated, has no needs that we can add or subtract to him, is so significant as a foundation for what we believe about God and who we are as people and how to read the Bible. I can imagine how much that would distort your lenses of reading the Bible if you sit there and say, oh, God needs me. He needs me. He's desperate for me. That's why he created me.
I had last week, this is real. This is, again...
Make sure you name people.
Name people?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, One of my family members sent me a social media post from someone that I have no idea who it is, okay? I really don't. I never heard of this person. But when I followed the trail down the page, he has thousands of followers, I guess. And so he's influencing thousands of people by what he writes.
In bots,
Yeah,
and AI, but still there's thousands of people probably listening to him.
And it said that he was in Australia or something,
Okay.
right? So, and again, I don't know who this guy is, but he was writing this post, and in this social media post says that the reason God created the world was because he needed to be in relationship with us.
Yeah.
And this man considers himself to be an Orthodox Christian,
So need is the problematic word right there.
The need
Wants
is the
is
word.
okay.
Yeah.
Desires is okay.
Yes.
But need is a problem.
Needs a relation. Yeah, right. And that would indicate instantly that God, if he needs anything, he's lacking something.
Yeah.
And he would have to find his fulfillment in that need in something or someone outside of himself. And simply, I don't think that that's who God is.